Welcome! Now it's time to make our soaker and our gel, the next two components to making a beautiful artisan gluten-free sourdough loaf. So let's get right to it. So what is a soaker anyway? A soaker is basically the whole grains that are in the recipe or formula for your sourdough, and they were going to be soaked in part of the liquid or the water that is within the formula. What this will do is allow the grains to absorb some of the water before the starches are added, which are so water absorbent. And in this way, it allows the grains to break down into smaller proteins. It's basically an autolyse, which is a term often used in regular sourdough baking, where you mix the water and flour and your starter before you add the salt. Since adding the soaker into all of my formulas, I found it's made a big difference to how well my bread turns out. All right, so let's make our soaker. So the soaker basically includes all of your whole grains, and I also include the white rice flour in here. So we're going to mix 55 grams of sorghum flour, 50 grams of brown rice flour, 65 grams of white rice flour with 200 grams of water. And you want to make sure that your water is either the filtered water or water that's been sitting on your countertop for 24 hours, because we do want the bacteria and yeast in our leaven to continue to work once they're combined with our soaker. I also like to use warm water, just like I do when I feed my starter. I don't like my room temperature water is very cold. So I don't like to get it anywhere near my starter. So I just heat it up very, very slightly so it's just a little bit warm to the touch. So once you have all of your grains and your water mixed together really well, just give it a clean and then cover your soaker up and just place it on a countertop that's not too cold. And then we'll go ahead and make our gel. So what is a gel? Well, basically, it's just a gluten replacer in my mind because we're trying to create something that will help gel all of our ingredients together. Because gluten-free flours don't have the component of gluten proteins, they don't have that ability, that spider's web type ability that gluten does. So the gel helps imitate that gluten and thereby helping to gel all of our ingredients together and help bind them together just like gluten does. So let's make our gel already. So first I'll add 30 grams of olive oil. I like to use a good quality extra virgin olive oil as I find it lends a lot of flavor. Then we'll add 16 grams of maple syrup. Of course, being Canadian, there's no other natural sweetener that I would ever go for. Then 18 grams of apple cider vinegar. I call apple cider vinegar my key ingredient when it comes to gluten-free baking. There's something magical about it that helps activate those yeast. Next, we're going to add 100 grams of aquafaba. And if you're wondering what on earth is aquafaba, basically it's just chickpeas, also called garbanzo beans, that have been placed in water and soaked. And it ends up turning out to be kind of like an egg. It really helps to bind things together like an egg does. So, and that's the garbanzo flour as well, does the same thing. So then all we have left to add is our salt and our psyllium husks. Now I use whole psyllium husks because I find them a lot nicer. However, you can use powder if that's all you have access to. You'll just have to use less. And I haven't tested it, so I don't know how much less. And it's best to add your psyllium husk at the end of your ingredients here, because if you put it in at the beginning, the liquid when it hits it will just start to make it into a gel almost instantly. So just add it at the end and you'll be all set. Give it a really good mix, and within minutes, that psyllium husk is going to create a gel that's almost like Jell-O. You're going to be amazed if you've never worked with it before. It's quite an incredible binder. So we're just going to let it rest and gel. And it'll sit on the countertop as well. So while our leaven is doing its magic, our soaker and our gel are also going to be working alongside of it. And finally, when they're all ready to go, we'll be able to add the final piece in our 4 steps to making an incredible artisan sourdough loaf. that's gluten-free and can also be vegan. If you can't get your hands on a natural maple syrup that doesn't have any additives, then you could always use agave syrup instead. So once your soaker and gel rest, along with your leaven, when the leaven is ready, we can move on to the next step, which is adding our starches and mixing our dough. So as soon as you notice that your leaven has peaked, head on over to the next video and we'll do just that. See you there.